When I think about my childhood, one thing truly stands out. The strength of that woman I call my mother. A single parent on a teacher's salary, not only was she able to put food on the table for me and my siblings, she was also able to put us through school and also university. Let's be honest. Try doing that today on a teacher's salary and you will find it nearly impossible. In fact, the standard of living has exploded. And what my mother managed to do or to achieve back then is nearly impossible today. You may ask, why is that the case? And the answer is because the system is built in that way. The system is built to make us poorer each and every single year. And the glue that holds it all together is something that you probably never thought about. Government bonds. Welcome to the Money Revolution, the podcast where we empower one another to build wealth through the sharing of information and ideas about how money really works. Big shout out to our sponsors, Stokvel Gold, who help us with all our gold and silver purchases. Stokvel Gold is an authorized dealer in gold and silver registered with the Financial Intelligence Center, and they assist us with all our gold and silver purchases. Today, we are talking about the very thing that guarantees inflation and the rising cost of living: government bonds. Inflation doesn't only come from bad governance or corrupt politicians or even the state of a country's economy. Inflation is built into the financial system. The building blocks of all that inflation is government bonds. So why should you be interested in government bonds? Because let's be honest, you don't buy them, you don't trade them, you may not even hear about them outside of the news. Yet, these government bonds are the backbone of our financial system. They are the invisible chain that ties all of the financial system together. Bonds keep us bonded to a currency that is constantly losing value each and every single day. Think about it like this. It's called a bond. But honestly, who is being held in bondage? Let's start with the basics. A bond is simply a loan that an investor gives to a government or a company, and in return, they promise to pay back interest and give back the capital after a set period of time. The biggest issuer of bonds in South Africa is the government, in the form of the National Treasury, by issuing almost 4.6 trillion rands in bonds. And that is equivalent to over 75% of the total bond market. Now, how do these bonds operate? Let's make this simple. A bond is just a loan. Imagine your brother asks you for 100 rands. You say to them, fine, but pay me back 10 rands extra. That's like 110 rands in total. Instead of paying you monthly, he says to you, no, I'm 42. I'll give you your 100 rands back in 10 months time. But in between, after each and every 5 months period, I will give you 5 rands. And when the 10 months is up, I will then give you 5 rands plus your original 100 rands loan. That is a bond. The 5 rand payment is what we call a coupon. The 10 months is what we call the maturity date. And the 10 rands is called the yield, which really is the same as interest. It sounds simple, right? But here it's where it gets very dangerous. When governments do this on a massive scale, it means that they are constantly borrowing, constantly owing, and constantly paying interest. That interest guarantees the endless expansion of the currency or fiat paper. In episode 4, we talked about how money becomes worthless when more of it gets printed. We looked at Germany as an example, where the price of bread went up from 250 marks to 200 million marks in just over a year period. All of that was caused by the German government essentially printing more and more currency. We also looked at Zimbabwe and how the Zimbabwean dollar started collapsing when the government started printing more and more of it to cover the Congo war. Bonds have a result that nobody is actually telling you about. They increase the currency in circulation, and this is how it happens. Now, let's say that a government wants to build a dam. It needs about 100 million rands to do so. What the government would do is that they would issue a bond for that 100 million and promise to repay it back after a 5-year period plus 5% in interest. The question is, who buys this bond? Who borrows the government money? And yes, you guessed it, banks. Now remember that in episode 9 and 11, we explained in depth that every time a bank makes a loan, either to the bank, either to the government, either to you or me, over 97.5% of that loan is new currency that comes from absolutely nothing. Yes, nothing. So now the government has got 100 million rands to build that dam, and it must pay it back as 105 million rands when you include the 5% interest. The question is, where does the government get that extra 5 million rands in interest money to repay back the loan? In essence, more currency needs to be printed. Now, a typical economist will try to confuse you by saying that it's more complicated than that.
It's very technical.
It's actually not. When governments borrow money with bonds, new currency gets created, and that means more money is being printed and inflated into the system. And all of this reduces the worth of yours and my money. We see this fall of currency value as inflation. You as the citizen pays the actual price, not just in taxes, but also in the rising cost of everything on the market. Your groceries, your rent, your fuel, and your electricity as well. They continue rising in an endless loop or cycle. And let me tell you this, Mo Africa, it never ever stops, so long as government bonds are being issued. The inflation that you feel in your wallet is your purchasing power slowly evaporating as a result of money printing. And let me tell you this isn't just about money. Inflation eats away at more than just your bank account. It eats away at your dignity. It forces parents to spend less time with their children, working longer hours just to survive. It corrodes moral values when people are pressured to do anything just to get by. It changes how each and every one of us views the future. When money loses its value tomorrow, we start thinking only about today. And that, Mo Africa, is called time preference. And it destroys long-term planning for individuals, for families, and entire nations. Mo Africa, this isn't just about surviving the impending collapse. It's about positioning yourself to thrive when the dust eventually settles. While most remain chained to bonds, to debt, and to even rising prices, those who hold real money in the form of gold and silver will stand on the other side of history victorious. Stay with us as we continue this banking series, because understanding how money works is the first step to actually escaping the system. Here at the Money Revolution, we believe that the revolution starts in the mind, but it does not end there. It ends with you taking action. So, Mo Africa, please tell us, what do you think? Are bonds causing inflation and the rise in the cost of living? Or do you think that they are necessary for modern economic development? Please share your comments with us in the description below. And if you found this episode insightful, hit the subscribe button below and share it with someone that you care about. And to get notified on our next episode upload, hit the notification bell below and share also your questions with us in the comments section. Let's wake up the masses. Let's understand how money really works and take back our power one conversation at a time. And remember, if it's paper, it will perish.